Announcements. It's Ms. Goodman's bill, but she had a personal thing to take care of, so Ms. Morton's handling it, I think, yes. And we're second on it, so it's not earth-shattering.
Right. So this is Senate Bill 831, Education Support Professionals, Work Group, and Bonuses. We are receiving this second to Budget and Tax. Did she distribute? Oh.
You need to make some copies.
Yeah, could you maybe?
Maybe you have to make the announcements first while I do this.
All right, well, I can explain what the bill does. Ian's going to run
pull it up.
photocopies
You can, Walt, if you want,
of the amendments.
SB 831.
Yeah. So generally, this bill requires the governor to include an appropriation in the fiscal 2024 budget that is sufficient to provide a bonus of either $500 or $1,000 as specified to each non-certified education support professional. The bill also establishes a work group to study the wages of education support professionals staffed by the Maryland State Department of Education to, one, determine what percentage of education support professionals in the state earn a living wage, and two, study increasing the wages of education support professionals to attract and retain skilled workers. The bill takes effect July 1st, 2022, and the work group terminates October 31st, 2023.
Go on.
Great.
It's yours.
So I'll talk just generally. One of the first things that the bill or the amendments do is they actually define the term education support professionals. So this is a term that is used in Title VI, Subtitle 5 of the Education article for the purposes of non-certified public school employees designated as part of a bargaining unit under those articles. So this covers things according to the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, like teachers' aides, paraeducators, administrative assistants, custodians, bus drivers, facilities and maintenance staff, security and technology staff, food service workers, and the many other critically important school employees. So in addition to defining that term, the budget and tax amendments, which are coming around right now, requires MSDE and each county board to provide all information requested by the work group, requires MSDE to collect data from county boards regarding the number of non-certified education support professionals employed during the 2021 through 2022 school year and submit a report on that information to the governor, the Department of Budget Management, and the General Assembly in September of 2022. The bill and amendments received unanimous vote in the Budget and Tax Committee.
I haven't spoken with the sponsor of the bill, but I can tell you during the Kerwin Commission, and a couple of people are somewhat familiar, I can tell you the issue came up of why aren't we addressing ESP or support staff? And the response was it was not our charge. We had a more limited charge, which still took 3 years, and had a fairly significant price tag. So my guess is, because the Kerwin Commission chose not to pick up the issue of ESP and support staff, this is an attempt to get a handle on it and see what needs to be done, if anything. So that, I assume, is the context. So, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that background. I'm just trying to understand that we have the definition of education support professionals. And I was just trying to understand, are they already organized a certain way, the way the teachers are? And then I guess what I'm trying to figure out how this work group would work with other negotiations with the Department of Budget Management?
I don't think this is to negotiate an increase. It is to come up with data and recommendations. Different support staff in different counties, some have collective bargaining, some have this union, some have that union, some might not even be organized. I think it's a mix and match, I think, is the answer. So I don't believe the charge, and I'll have to look, I think the charge says how many people earn a living wage and study increasing the wages of support staff to attract and retain skilled workers. They cannot do this. They cannot set new wages. We can only do that.
Change any current organizational structures, because as you said, it's probably depending, I guess, by jurisdiction. This is looking at the actual definition of education support professionals and then looking and making recommendations on
Right.
wages for the future.
Correct. In other words, even in the Kerwin, we didn't set wages for all the counties. We just said in one section, because we were behind Massachusetts, we had to, at least in the next number of years, get it up $10,000. We said some other things, but we still left collective bargaining to the 24 jurisdictions. This does not change that. And in fact, I'm looking at the list. It has AFSCME, it has SEIU, it has a number of different groups represented because there's not just one organization that represents them. So that's my understanding of the bill. It's not my bill, I'm just reading it. So, Senator Simon Air.
So quickly looking over, this is just a one-time bonus, is that correct? It's not a salary structural?
Correct. I think because they have not gotten raises and there's been a bit of an extra amount of money in the B&T, they're giving, my reading of this, it will not raise their, what do you call it?
Salary?
Their formal salary, which will contribute to retirement.
Okay, and then, but in Kerwin, we raised their salary, right? It wasn't like a bonus,
No, we said,
if you met certain standards and things like that.
we said a couple things. One, we said by a certain year, all the starting salaries had to be 60,000. We didn't say how to get there, somewhere already there. We said that over the next 3 or 4 years, salaries had to be increased $10,000 above and beyond what they negotiated to try to catch up with New Jersey, Massachusetts. And then we said there was a bonus for teachers who achieved national board. They'd get 10,000 if they achieved it, and if they were in a high-need school, they'd get 7. But we didn't set specific
Right.
salaries in any of the jurisdictions.
Okay, but this is not modeling after Kerwin in the sense it's just a one-time, here you go. But if I also read it really quickly, it says, if the governor puts in the money this year, they get 500. If he doesn't do it, they get 1,000. Or they allocate 1,000.
So the way it works is if he includes it this year, they get 500 this year and 500 next year. If he doesn't include it this year, they get 1,000 next year. So either way, it's a $1,000 bonus.
Okay, and then last question, I know,
And that's because negotiations are still going on with the governor. I mean, we can require it next year, but if he puts in part of it this year, we'll do the, what's left
Okay.
next year.
and then last question is, I know starting next year, the legislature can move money around that they can't this year. So do we have to mandate it if they have the authority to do it next year?
That could be asked on every bill that we've included a mandatory appropriation
This year it does.
this year, yeah.
Okay.
It's a commitment over 2 years to get $1,000. So, further, Senator Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I don't have a question. You know, I was just sitting there thinking, this is going to be a major job to keep all these programs together. It just seems like it's going to probably take a third of the money to track and establish to know how these groups are operating out there. You know, like I've seen about 20 bills that has passed this year that's tapping into further studies. And, you know, I hope we got a good system set up someplace that we can sit in your house and air conditioned place or something and do this work. Cause this is a lot of work. I mean, it's going to be a lot of work. So I just
Collection, MSDE has the data. They're going to collect the information. What this group of 10 or 12 or whatever it is does with it's another story. But the data collection's, I don't think, a heavy lift, because I think it's available, and MSD is going to do it.
Okay, all right.
Other conversation, discussion. We're a second on it. Does that take a motion or not?
Yes, we need to adopt the budget and tax amendments.
Okay. Any objection to the budget and tax amendments? Seeing none, they're adopted. The recommendation from EHE to B&T on this bill is favorable as amended. Moved and seconded. I guess we need a vote or not? We need a vote. Okay, I think we need a recorded vote. Who would like to be recorded in the negative? Seeing none, it'll be 10-0, 10-0-1. Senator Ellis absent.
And he specifically selected this time of the day. We're gonna say no, excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, I was just thinking.
Budget and tax.
Other things.
Oh, because of the bond bills? Yeah, of course. Given the price tag, I think the chairman and other people were involved. So, okay, couple things, and then we'll get out of here. I think on the King bill, Senator Kagan has a floor amendment. You just mentioned what it is.
We talked during the hearing about language access, just making sure that the website and the application were available, accessible, comprehensible to people for whom English is not their primary language. So have a very narrow amendment drafted that's going to be offered on the floor.
Last two things I want to mention. We have a number of House bills that are clear cross files or look exactly the same. And then we have bills that are cross-filed but look very different. Bills that look different, it's going to take some conversation and who knows, maybe a conference committee. In terms of voting, we will probably start with cross files that look different, right? So we can get those moving.
And the reason is because they're going to have to go back and forth.
Well, they may have to go back and forth, or there can be informal conversation so you can avoid a conference committee. So in other words, if we passed one of your bills, the House passed a similar bill but significantly different, you can talk with the cross-filer or the chair of the committee and see if there's any informal agreement you can come to, or we can just amend it to how we want it. And then they can reject it or accept it, or we go to conference. So they will take a little longer, and we have 3 weeks left, so they will be our first priority. If we pass the bill clean, they pass the bill clean, it's going to take no time. We're just going to accept it. So that's not our high priority over the next week or 9 days. If some bills we did not move passed, then we're going to have to consider the House version and then whether we move the Senate version or we don't like either of them. So we're going to try to do this strategically so we're not wasting our time. And in terms of the hearing, as I said before, if it's a cross-file with no changes, we're not going to have a hearing because we know what it does. If there's a bill that's not cross-filed, we're going to have a hearing with limited witness testimony. No more than 3 for, and 3 against. It's late. We're just not going to sit here for 4 hours to hear 30 witnesses. Huh?
Will it be last year's rules, favorable with amendments? You said 3 for and 3 against. What about favorable with amendment?
I haven't gotten to that.
Okay, just,
Look, if it's a controversial bill, I'll let the sponsor pick their 3. And if they want someone with amendments because they like them, they can pick it. So that's sort of what we're going to do. April, Alexis, anything else you need to add? Oh, apparently the House just is moving the cyber bill, which Senator Hester spent time on. We didn't want to move her bill and then have a repeat of last year, so I can't tell you exactly what they did. I started to skim their rough draft. I'm not an expert, but I wanted to wait to see how serious they were. So we will be taking those up soon, the House and the Senate version. April, Alexis? Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'm not sure. This will be a short session, I think. I don't think we're going to need to meet again this afternoon as a committee. Tentatively hold Thursday. After hearings, we might try to knock out a few things, and then maybe a little time on Friday, but it won't be late. Okay? And hopefully tomorrow night will be a reasonably early night after today. So that's the game plan for the week. Okay? Look, thank you all. You're doing a great job. We're adjourned.